Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting installment of Valhalla Gameplays. I am your host, the mad scientist Miles Lowroad, and today we have a very special IDDQ&A for you. We have on the horn none other than my actual father. He's here from Florida visiting for the holidays, and I thought, what better way to introduce a better side of me to all of you? And we're also looking to find a donor for a kidney for my father. He's been on dialysis for a few years, and I just kind of want to introduce him to all of you so that you can better know me, but also know my dad. So say hello to everyone, Dad.
Hello, everyone.
Good to have you on the horn. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What would you like the audience to know about you?
Well, of course, the first thing I want them to know is that you are my progeny.
Okay.
After that, I'd like them to know that I'm retired. I spent a career in the commercial side of business. I traveled extensively all over the world, and I've been retired for a few years. Living in Florida, I have, of course, you and my very special wife, Carmen.
That is awesome. And you were in the military as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was. I spent my career during the Vietnam era. I did my time in the service, and I am currently a disabled veteran from Vietnam.
All right. Good to know. So you obviously know, Dad, that this channel is dedicated to video games, mostly classic first-person shooter games, basically from Doom, Wolfenstein era to, I don't know, the 6th generation of gaming, which is Xbox. Eventually, Valhalla Gameplays will go this way. But that being said, you're of a different generation. I feel like I'm a different generation than a lot of my audience, but then you and I, of course, have quite the generation gap. So that being said, what are your thoughts on video games and their effects on society?
Oh, that's a very good question. It's probably something that's going to be debated for years to come. My feelings on the subject are my own, of course, from what I'm seeing happening to our society over the years. And one of the things from a negative side is that I see a lot of young people becoming very desensitized to violence, which I don't know it to be a good thing. On the positive side of things, I think that a lot of young people are now opening their horizons, seeing a world that people my age never got to see.
I mean, that is very true. I can definitely see both aspects, but from the technology standpoint, I definitely feel you.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Literally, what we put in our pocket is 10, 20 times the computer that I had growing up. It's insane to think.
Yeah, and it does things that I never imagined it would do.
Right? It tells you where to go. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. And keeps you in touch with the world.
No.
When I was a younger man, we didn't envision any of this. We were very happy with a Commodore 64 or the early stages of the computers, but initially it was just to play games on a 4.5 or 3.5 inch disc, and that was the extent of it.
What my dad is talking about is the floppy disk. If none of you know what that is, I will link in the description a picture of it so that you know that it's this big old floppy black disk.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, so on this channel, I don't know if you watch my videos, but I have on occasion referred to my experiences with Doom growing up. In 1994, you brought home a shareware copy of Doom, and it changed my life. Now, I'm wondering if, in retrospect, you have any memories of that, or if you remember the process we actually went through to get Doom to run on that old computer.
On a personal level, I drank too much scotch during those days, so I can't remember very much. But your mother was telling us earlier today about what a chore it was to, first of all, change the hard drive on a computer to allow it to run this particular program. and what a terrible picture it showed when it finally came on board. But I have very little recollection of all of that.
We'll blame it on the scotch. One thing I thought
Yeah.
was funny that Mom mentioned today was that it was so difficult to wake me up in the mornings, and I finally admitted that, yeah, I would stay up for hours on end playing that game. Headphones on, lights off, and I was wondering if I guess I never got caught. That's cool. The one thing.
No, not by me at any rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on. When did video games first come into your attention?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to say we were referring to the 3.5-inch floppy disk. That would have been initially, because I worked for a service or agency of the government, and we had computers, but the battery packs that we had to carry around for the computers weighed 15 or 20 pounds whenever we used them out in the field.
Whoa.
And you had a backpack that you carried around just for the batteries.
Wow.
But during that time, somebody introduced me to a 3.5-inch disc, which they copied for me, of somebody named Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and that was my very first introduction into video games.
Interesting. Well, Dad, I have a confession to make. I found that floppy disk when I was a kid, and me and Chris Erico played the crap out of that game. I never got anywhere. I couldn't get out of the bathroom. You would go into the bathroom, and I didn't have that sort of an imagination adult-wise, at 12, 13. So
Right.
It was like, you go into the bathroom, use the bathroom, and then when you leave, you would have toilet paper stuck to your foot, and then everyone would laugh at you, and it'd be game over. So that's my major memory of that game. But that's hilarious. I thought you would say Pong or something like that, but no.
I do remember the Pong games, and I was going even further back, and that was during the day of the smoke-filled rooms.
I mean, what?
And we would set the two Pongs on each side of them, and we would sit in the room and have our munchies and watch the ball go back and forth for hours. Right?
That's hilarious. Okay, well, on that same note, not a lot of you know this, but I went to the same college my dad went to, and he went in the late 70s to a college called Highlands University. I then got my degree there as well. And now, that being said, the scene that I went into was a lot different. I went as a non-traditional student, and I studied in my late 20s, early 30s, and I was very much focused on school. Now, I hear a different story from my dad, and I was wondering if you could tell the audience what your experience was like, that late 70s period partying in Vegas, New Mexico.
Partying? I never did that. Well, my goodness, where do I start? There was smoke-filled rooms everywhere you went.
I don't know what you're referring to.
And you could buy a grocery bag full for about $3 of the farmer's market almost.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was very cheap and very bad. And you'd have to smoke half a bag to get yourself to feel any difference whatsoever. But there was a lot of beer drinking during those days. But you had to stay focused. School was very important and continues to be very important. And all the girls, a lot of beautiful, a lot of pretty
Mom's
girls,
not in the room, is she?
good friends. Absolutely not. Yeah, a lot of good friends, a lot of good memories from those days.
Can you tell us a little bit about the hot springs?
Oh yes, that was our favorite place. During my days in college, I used to be a disc jockey at the local radio station on the evenings. After my show was over with, we would go to a local bar and we'd stay till they closed, which was 12:30 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd buy a keg and we'd head for the hot springs. And we set the keg out in the snow, and there'd be at least a foot, 2 feet of snow. And we would go into the hot springs, and we would spend 20 minutes sitting in the hot springs And when we got too hot for the hot springs, we'd go outside, run, and jump into the snow and do snow angels. And then we'd grab a glass of beer and head right back inside and do it all over again. And sometimes it'd be 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun would be coming up, and we were still out there drinking beer and enjoying the hot springs.
Wow. Now, that's awesome. Now, to give the audience a little bit of a perspective here, this hot springs is in a place called Montezuma, which is outside of Las Vegas, New Mexico. Not Nevada, New Mexico. And it's directly next to this huge castle. And
Correct.
it's called the Arm & Hammer World College. And it's got these Russian domes. And so you're in this it's right off the side of this little highway. And you're next to a castle in these concrete hot springs. It's a very strange, magical place. And I, too, have sat in these pools and rolled in snow in the winter. It's absolutely beautiful. But
It is, yes. When I was there, it was before the Arm & Hammer University, so it was a little less as romantic as you make it sound.
Okay.
And more rustic.
But that structure was still there, correct?
Oh, yeah, the castle was there. The castle used to be a Catholic monastery.
Oh.
Long before, and they had, long before that, stopped living there or using it as a monastery. It had been closed for many, many years. So it was kind of deserted at that time.
Interesting. I've always wanted to kind of, spelunk through there, and I've heard strange stories that there's like underground basement areas and dungeons and things like that. I'd really like to.
I wouldn't be surprised, because that building's got to be from the early 1800s.
Interesting. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so I have you on the horn really for a specific reason. That's that we're looking to find you a kidney. You've experienced kidney failure for quite some time now. What do you think ultimately contributed to the failure of your kidneys?
Well, probably about 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with lupus. And lupus is a disease that kind of eats through your body. It's eventually kind of takes over the organs and destroys them. It's your antibodies fighting against you. And what ultimately happened was that the antibodies decided that they wanted my kidneys, and so slowly they kind of destroyed my kidneys.
Interesting. Now, how long exactly have you been on dialysis?
Oh my goodness, 3 years and that's 4 treatments a week for 3 years, and every treatment's about 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
So that's a good chunk of your life sitting in a chair, immovable for that much time, waiting for your dialysis to take place.
And for those of you that don't know, this is a really strenuous body. Literally, there's a machine that's taking the blood out of my father's body, filtering it, and then putting it back in, and puts a lot of stress on the heart, the arteries, the veins. It's just an intense process. But I feel that, Dad, you're very fortunate that you have the VA helping you in this situation. Here in New Mexico, the VA is very much looked down upon, and people chastise it. They literally spend money to make billboards speaking out against the VA. But your experience is not like that. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the VA? And
Sure.
maybe give us a little bit of advice for other VA patients.
Well, it's ironic that you should ask that question, because I am probably one of the very few fortunate American veterans in that in Orlando they've just in the last year finished building one of the most super modern hospitals that money can buy. I think that they spent over $500 million for this brand new hospital that's being built. They have what has to be one of the most talented and supportive staffs that money can buy. I have nothing but the best of praise for the Veterans Administration, and it makes me feel pretty bad to hear that the veterans here in Albuquerque don't get the same kind of treatments. I get regular checkups. I get called. I don't even have to worry about it. They keep track of all that medically could happen to me, and they're right on top of it. So I can't complain from that. One of my suggestions for people who are in that situation is that they have to stay well informed about what they're entitled to. Once you know what your entitlements are, then all you have to do is simply ask for them, and they have to be provided to you. That's by law in Congress. So if I have to give anybody advice, just go see one of your local counselors and ask them to explain to you what you have coming and what you don't. And then make them adhere to the rules that are required by you. If you can't get satisfaction, call your congressman or your senator. Write them a letter telling them what you're experiencing. That's the only thing that will ever change anything, because they're very powerful people.
I think that's solid advice. And that's for anything socio-political. As American citizens, I can't speak the same for the international audience, but as American citizens, it's our duty to let our representatives know what the people want. And, the more of us are out there writing letters and sending emails and making phone calls, the more of a difference that we can make.
Absolutely. Yeah, and one last comment on that. Having worked inside of the federal government for some time, I know from personal experiences that all that needs to happen is for a congressman or a senator to either write a letter or have one of his representatives go into the local VA office and say, what's going on? And that will make walls come apart and crumble in place that you've had, and it'll make tidal waves. It's the most phenomenal power that you'll ever see.
That is really good advice. Thanks for that. On a similar note, Dad, now, I've seen, since I was 16, I'm 33 now, to give everyone out their perspective. Since I was 16, I've watched your health kind of fade. The whole lupus thing, literally, to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. My dad has always been this solid rock. And at the age of 16, I watched him, gaunt face, totally pale, in the most excruciating pain I've ever seen him, driving himself to the hospital. Like, couldn't utter a word, but so headstrong that he couldn't even call an ambulance, nothing, drove himself to the hospital. Since then, I've watched him be put through this ringer of the medical, the modern medical system. One thing that I do note and put into my own life is that, Dad, you've always been that kind of person that has made done the research and then brought that to the doctor. Like, I'm not going to take this medication because this medication has better side effects than this one, and it's half the price. You always have gone that extra step. That being said, tell us your thoughts and experiences with the modern medical system and how it has changed in the past 17 years.
Well, first thing I'd like to say is the doctor is only as good as he was a college student. And if as a student you partied and didn't pay attention and you were fortunate enough from a financial standpoint to make it into college or to make it to medical school and you got through medical school and you didn't pay attention, then obviously you're not a very good doctor. So it's incumbent upon you, the patient, to be aware of all the health literature and information that you can put your hands on. And so that when you sit across that doctor, you're not afraid to ask him or challenge him on anything, because they don't know it all. They may act like they know it all, but they don't. And once you establish that relationship that you're in charge and you're paying for his services, it goes totally in a better formation. And never be afraid to fire a doctor. I can't tell you the number of doctors that I fired along the way because I didn't appreciate their staffs or their services or their knowledge. If that happened more often in this country, we probably have the best doctors in the world.
That's a good point. Anything else you would like to add to that?
Well, I think that kind of tells you in a nutshell. Just do not be afraid. Doctors are just human beings like you and I, and they may make a little more money, but certainly that's the way to go. And there's a lot of stories out there about how their incomes are supplemented by the pharmaceuticals, so they're more apt to be, especially the doctors that are greedy, will be more apt to want to sell their services to the pharmaceuticals and give you medicine that may well not be the best for you, only to make a few bucks on commissions on the side that you don't even know about. So beware.
Solid advice as well. Now, I'd like to jump in, change directions just a little bit, because we've, you and I have had, I feel like over the years, you and I have both changed politically. And I feel like I'm on a different side politically that I was not when I was younger, and you are at a different place politically slightly from when I was a kid. So I just have a couple little juicy questions for you. The first one being, okay, here we go.
I'm scared.
Now, we just elected Trump as president, and I won't influence this with my own personal thoughts, but what is your hypothesis for the upcoming political climate in this country?
I watched what's happened since the election and all the noise that's being made in this country. On a personal level, and I think this probably applies for the majority of this country, the day after the election, my life did not change one iota from what it was the day before. And I have a lot of faith in this country in that going forward, there's going to be some change. There always is. But I believe that we should kind of let the process happen until such time that the process doesn't work anymore. And I think that collectively, whether we're all involved or not, if the changes become too drastic, things will happen in this country because we're that kind of a people. But in the meantime, we just have to be patient and see. I don't like what I'm seeing much more than a lot of other people. I'm going to give it time to see what happens.
That's a really wise way to go about it. I couldn't have said it better. Now, I know that you tend to lean left, and...
Do I?
Indeed. I have a good friend.
That's age.
Is that what it is? Interesting.
That's old age.
Okay. Oh, right. One leg is like getting shorter than the other. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right. There you go.
Anyways, so now I know a lot of people out there wanted Bernie as the DNC representative. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the DNC and their choice of Hillary over Bernie?
Oh my God. I think my blood pressure just went up about 50 points. Yeah. Here's my feeling. I think that Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Donna Bazile should be hung. Well, maybe not hung, but I think they should both be in prison.
Wow.
If there are two people in this country that openly subverted the whole concept of democracy, it's those two people. Democracy is supposed to be everybody making their choices on their own. And these two people individually and collectively did everything they could to make everybody feel like one person was better than the other. It just doesn't feel good, doesn't set right. And to add insult to injury, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was reelected to Congress. What is our people thinking? To me, it's just, she should have never been reelected to Congress. Donna Bazile should be banned from having anything to do with this country ever again as it comes to politics. Am I going too far to the left here?
I don't think what you're saying is like a left or... It's not a partisan thing, what you're saying right now. I think that, again, democracy was tampered with, and people that...
It was drastically, and all this nonsense about Trump over Hillary and everything else, to me, is not as significant as these people, and God knows how many others are manipulating our democracy. It's not supposed to be that way. At least that's not what I was taught in school.
I agree with that, and I have a feeling that a lot of viewers out there are going to be on your same page, Dad. That's really cool to hear. All right. Well, I only got a couple more questions for you. Second to last, what would you say our country should focus on to truly become great again?
As I mentioned earlier in this discussion, I've had the pleasure of traveling around the world, and I've seen first world and third world countries alike. And I can honestly say that I have never, ever experienced the quality of life we have in this country anywhere else. Maybe far European countries may consider themselves a little more advanced, but they certainly pay a price for it in taxes and other things. That being said, there are things that we could do. I have a tendency to lean, like you said, to the left, and I think that humanity is very important. We need to understand that we need to take care of one another and be there for one another. This nonsense about illegal or legal aliens, to me, I don't understand it, because I believe that if I am feeding a family and I can't find food for my family in this village, I'm going to go to the next village to find food. And that's basically all of that, a lot of what's going on is. And to deprive one another from these opportunities, in my opinion, is not being human. Humanity is very important, and we need to always keep that in mind. Share your humanity with the rest of the world.
That is huge. I appreciate your words. I really do, Dad. And it's crazy to hear you say them. Yeah. I'm so proud to be your son, and that I have a good heart, and I know where I get it from you and Mom. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last question. Now, again, just to reiterate to everyone, we're trying to find a kidney for my dad. He's been on dialysis for 3 years, and I want my dad to be able to be untethered from this machine so we can go fishing again and enjoy the last years of his life, like father and son like we never had. If you now, how can we contact you if there's someone out there that wants to donate a kidney to you?
Well, as a preface of that, I got to tell you, on my checkbook at the bottom corner, and I know checks are kind of old, everybody's got a card these days. I have a little saying that says, share your humanity, donate a kidney. And I put that out for everyone. I'm particularly looking for a kidney for my own vested reasons, but I'm not alone. There are thousands and thousands of people out there in the same situation that I'm at, and for me to forget them would be not to share my humanity. So please, I ask everybody who's out there who is willing to do that to go and find a local place through whatever means are available to you there, and please share this with them. As far as myself, I think on the upper right-hand corner of the page,
Yep.
on your YouTube channel host, I think there's a place for them to see one of the last
upper
video
right-hand
that you
corner,
produced.
right now we're going to post a little link, one of the cards. Go ahead and click on that if you want to see the video. Continue, Dad.
Well, and because your audience is so vast, the very best way to do this is probably for them to contact you through your YouTube channel, and then you and I could coordinate it, and then I could personally call everyone and thank who wants to do who wants to donate a kidney, and at the same time I could give them the information so they'll know who to contact.
Also, if you're not into donating a kidney for whatever reason, it's not your thing, it's against your religion, whatever, please share the video. The video will be up there. Click on it. Share it on all your social media sites. We just want to get the word out there and see if we can, create a blitzkrieg of donations for people who need kidneys, and possibly help out my dad as well. That would be so awesome. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you look in my cards, every video I always put a link to the ASN Foundation for Kidney Research. That's not only for my dad, but that's just to get the word out there that, we live in a society where we're able to share organs in such a way. And I'm an organ donor. It's on my my license. Unfortunately, I'm a different blood type than my dad, or else this would have been taken care of a long time ago. But Yeah. Anyways, please help us out, and at the very least, share this video and the video that's linked in the corner. Well, I think that's all we got. Dad, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Indeed, it's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And this is definitely a different IDDQ&A than we usually do. I know I haven't put out a video in a while. It's been really intense with. I've had my parents in town, obviously. I've been doing a lot of business transactions, and there's been a big upgrade on Valhalla gameplays. We're working on some new server instances, and we're also finally bringing in some Quake. So tune in next week for some more jibs, and if you need anything, get a hold of me. We love you guys so much. Please share this video and the other kidney video for my family, for my dad, and we will see you next time.